welcome to you. I don't know if this is the first time Portia is coming here. It is, okay. So the special welcome goes to you as well. For those who have been here before, welcome here once again to UniMAC. We are here today for a very important activity. But before I go ahead, I just want to take the opportunity to thank everybody for coming today. We know that you have 1,001 things doing on your schedule, but you prioritized coming here. And so for that, we are very grateful. I would want our students to put their hands together for our guests. And for themselves. I also do want to welcome the management of UniMAC and staff, lecturers, administration, as well for coming and being part of our programs over here. At the right time, our chairman will be introduced, but a special welcome to our acting rector, Professor Eric Otoku-Mensah, as well. And more on Portia much later, but very welcome, Portia, to UniMAC. The purpose of our gathering today is multi-phase. We are here today on DRID, the Directorate of Research, Innovation and Development at UniMAC is responsible, is a central coordinating body for research, innovation and development at UniMAC. One of the things that we do is the public lectures. There are other things that we do in order to promote research and innovation at GIJ. At universities, research are central, and they are supposed to be, university are supposed to be a hub of research and innovation. In order to attain this goal, we have these public lectures in order to engage and also invite very accomplished speakers to come and share their experiences with us. Research is very critical to social change. Research is very critical to development and to innovation and new ways of doing things. And our speaker has done a lot in that respect. And so today is one of such events where we are coming together to share knowledge and to engage with each other in a very spirited and enjoyable manner. So you are all welcome here. We hope we have a very, very interesting time of discussion. I will go ahead and move on to the next aspect of this program, which is to invite the appropriate authority to come and introduce, just a second, to come and introduce our chairperson for today. I just want to talk about other people who are here. There are some media personnel over here as well. I want to recognize them. TV3 are here. And we also have the Station of the Nation, GTV. This program is very central to journalism industry. So it's very nice that they are here to also support. We also have the Ghanaian Times over here as well. And then lastly, another print, I was just checking, another print media, daily graphic. All right, so I'll now call on Dr. Caroline Abajida-Costa to introduce the chairman for the occasion. Yes, ma'am. Dr. Caroline Abajida-Costa. Oh, please, let's clap for her. She's a lecturer and research officer here at UniMAC-GIJ.
Hello. I have the honor of being called to introduce our chairman for today's public lecture. He is in the person of Professor Eric Ugoku-Mensah. He's an astute academic with a PhD in communication, specifically political communication. His area of research is in political rhetoric. Aside his academic prowess, he's been involved in various political deliberations in the Fourth Republic of our nation. Since 2014, he's been a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. And he's an associate professor, a feat he obtained in 2019. He was appointed as the Deputy Rector of GIJ in the year 2020. And now he's been elevated to the position of Acting Rector for UniMAC-GIJ. As I said, I introduce to you Professor Eric Ugoku-Mensah.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. And a special welcome to our guest speakers. I'm happy that some faculty members are here, particularly our able Dean of Students. Dean of Communication Studies is also here. Our HR boss is also here. How many students know the HR? Because they are in the office, sometimes you tend to let them see Mrs. Wo. And our finance officer for UniMAC, Mr. Francis Obin. And who have been? Yes. Oh, HOD for Communication Studies. My one and only, in journalism. My one and only Dr. Benedict Nazano. And I see some beautiful faculty, Dr. Obin. The Dean of PR just entered. Give them a wave. Dr. Hassan. So, colleagues and dear students, I think it's wonderful to see all of you here. The director of DRID has just hinted the reason why we are here. And I think it's very good, an opportune time to hear best journalist of the year. You're supposed to speak on any important platform, then it should be on our platform as a leading communication and journalism training institution in this country. I think that we are in a very difficult time as a nation. And if you see and hear what is going on, you realize that had it not been the presence of the media, we will all be in the dark. Because now we live in a global space, and the kinds of deliberation that go on every day should get to you every minute, every second through the power of the media. And therefore, I think that all of us know what is going on in Ghana. Every day there's a new thing being discussed. And I was amazed 3-4 days ago. My wife entered, she's not around, she's traveled, and she sent me something about a scandal. A friend who works in First Atlantic Bank has sent me the pictures and blah, blah, blah. Then the following day, I think yesterday, I realized it's pasted everywhere. Now, I think it's one of the most, Twitter is going to, and on every platform. So, by virtue of the media, we get to be apprised of what is happening in every corner, whether in entertainment, in politics, in economics, And at the backdrop, we also hear about what is happening within the NDC, the shake-up in Parliament, and all kinds of things are being deliberated upon. And I think if you look at our own economic situation in the country and the kinds of deliberation going on, for the first time, we all understand haircuts to mean something different in our pockets, not going to the salon. So it's very important that journalism and students of journalism and practitioners of journalism constantly deliberate about what is going on within our space. And therefore, as an institution, I'm very happy that we could create this platform through DRID to bring important personalities within these spaces. Maybe the next time is going to be an astute PR of a giant institution, a famous broadcaster, a marketer, and all the different areas that we practice. And now that we are within UniMAC, we are thinking of how do we collaborate and build our synergies, our common expertise. So next time you'll be hearing somebody come to talk about film. And film is very important. If you look at America and their dominance in the world, they use Hollywood a lot. And sometimes we will just watch Netflix and we're thinking about just entertainment. The LGBT movement has been pushed seriously in the media through Hollywood and through Netflix. Now, if you watch any movie, you tend to find a character, a major character, who is an LGBT, and it's all a subtle way of speaking to us. And here we are. So I'm very glad we are here, and I know that they're going to cooperate and support. And for you, my dear students, I think that this is a learning platform for you. Rarely do you get a practicing journalist who is out there seeing all there is to it and being honored by the whole country as the best. If you have such a person speaking to you, then really you are in a classroom. So this is a laboratory for you, and I know that we're going to take this serious. So on this note, I'd like to accept to chair, and I hope we're going to have a wonderful time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Acting Rector. Please let's give him a round of applause. Okay, so he set a very good tone and foundation for the program. Thank you very much. At this point, we would dive right into business, but we're going to hear about our speaker and know about her. She has made remarkable contributions and extraordinary, work, and she's been honored. And so we'll call on Mr. Eric Ajikum, if he's here. Eric, okay, who is one of the faculty. I think we all know Eric. Let's clap for him. To come and tell us a little bit about our different.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor and privilege for me to introduce our guest speaker. She's somebody I've been watching on the screen since 2007, and somebody I've known personally for the last 6 years. So it's an honor for me. Yesterday I spoke to her and she cautioned me against an elaborate introduction, and I told her I'll try. So in case I go overboard, know that I didn't promise that I'll give you a short introduction. Our speaker, so just not to talk much, I wrote something down, so I'll try and then give us something brief. Our speaker for today's lecture is a senior broadcast journalist, producer, and news anchor at TV3 Network Limited, based in Canada, Accra. She joined TV3 in 2007, carving a niche for herself through reporting mainly on persons living with disability, the vulnerable society, as well as development journalism. At an immense risk, she reported on the COVID-19 outbreak, which caused devastation around the world. She's one of the few journalists in Ghana who got access to the COVID-19 isolation and treatment centers. And at that time, many people were afraid of venturing into that space, and she got there and she gave us a first-hand account of how it feels to be in an isolation center. Through her works, there have been expansion of access to the District Assembly Common Fund to cover persons with disability. Other notable achievements include the discovery of the then 7-year-old Ayiyi Adonkwachi, who had a disability known as brittle bone disease. The story attracted the likes of Ghana's first lady and the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection. And I must say that I've read this story in my class several times, and I've told my students that this is how journalism should be used for social change. And I've also recommended you as a worthy role model for many of the female journalists or students. Her report on disability also led to the discovery of a blind school dropout, Adley Bessia, who is now a music sensation. And I'm sure she featured Group Nation in one of the songs. So your story brought her to the limelight. So you are shining your light on others as well. In terms of recognition, our speaker was among the 3 journalists who were selected from Ghana to interview the Queen of Denmark in 2017. She has also interviewed the former U.S. Deputy Secretary of Agriculture, Stephen Sinsky, during the U.S. West Africa Trade Mission in Ghana. Our esteemed guest speaker is a fellow of the International Visitor Leadership Program in the United States. She has many awards to her credit, but I'll keep it brief, as she warned me earlier. The most notable recent one is the 2022 GGA Journalist of the Year. In the last 5 years, I've been picking out several GGA awards, and I did say that the awards scheme has become a playground. For almost every year, I have to couch a message and congratulate her. So this year, I've also drafted a message because I know that you win an award for GGA award. So let me tell you what she has done, and you understand why I say that she has turned the place into her couch, basically sleeping on the award stage. She was the best news reporter in 2020, best health reporter 2020, special award for COVID-19 reporting 2020, Science Reporter of the Year in 2020, Female Journalist of the Year in 2019, best reporter Road Safety and Transport 2019, best environment reporter 2018, best TV news report, and she won this award in 2010 and 2017, and the students are wondering where they were in 2010. She also won the Most Promising Young Journalist award in 2017, Best Report on MDG Goals in 2018. Our guest speaker is not just a local champion when it comes to awards. She has won other international awards too. And that includes the Make More Than the Mother Award in 2019, also being a finalist for the CNN Multi-Choice Award in 2011, and many other awards. I don't want to go on and on and on. Your award is working. She is married with 2 children and remains committed to family, work, and Ghana. So with the thunderous applause and a stand ovation, I welcome you
So one of our own very students, which is very impressive, a freshman, has come up with a very interesting, I listened to it and invented it, recital, the poetry recital. His name is Titus. Is that something very special for Portia? So we invite
Mamemre na memdwen. Mebema nsɛm na kasa sɛ twene. Nsɛm no bi yɛ de dwa, so mebɛsensene. Nsɛm no dɔɔso, dɔkta, ɛkyɛ nkrane. Mebɛsa nsɛm no tene mo se asentene mafa nkyene. Mebɛnoa ama n'abɛn. Wei ne abasobɔdeɛ mu anwensɛm. Ago. Oh, ago. Onimonyamfo ne womanimfo Portia Gabor yi. Ɛnɛ de nsɔso no mpantene fa hene na n'aboakye nsɛm de hyɛ kronkron gyina ha. Na mefrɛfrɛ sɛdeɛ nyampɔntom frɛfrɛ bu so anɔpahema. Media general de hyɛ kronkron mo ne ntoma pa wosi pisita wɔ bɛɛ mu. Yee sɛ yɛ gyae na nkɛgyae sradanam. Portia Gabor, wo ne hwinti mprɛko a wote bu ne te kɔkɔɔ. Propusi trɛmpa a obudu pɔnkɔn. Wurakɛsɛ boafo a ɛdɔm esuro wɔ. Opupuni tetere kwa omuti atuduru. Na mayema Ghana ma muni adwuma pa. Enye ono a nka oman nsɛm bi no ene abrabɔ mu nsɛm bi a nipa bi mu fam no Kebeye nchina yiramwe. Kwanchai brode, awawa ya mana hudu se apata da ya swapa. Nanso, watimi ni nyindie, ni nyansa. Ewurewuremu, na mo brasie, adane nioma. Ede, ne nsem tredwuma asesa nipa bi num hyebre, ene oman ni punsem. Obapa nyankwada. Nipa bebrebe do, ebi nso betawo. Nanso nigina nyame ani eje watamfo vie bia sonson ede pewo de eso. Nyankwada. Miss Portia Gabor, woni chekuku tata pompe tempenia. Yede atupai e show kasa yasa. Osibri pipi Portia Gabor. Debiara da wudi nyansa wudi die ene nsem treduma eda da nyoma dasie buru dasie son dasie nyama dasie nyato pia.
Thank you very much. Hello? Thank you very much. Let's do a big one. Thank you. I always want to be a Ghanaian. I am a typical Ashanti. And in language, there's something we call competence and performance. You will be competent to speak in the language, but you won't be able to perform like this. So it's quite interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Mrs. Portia.
I am indeed humbled to be here. The acting rector of the Ghana Institute of Journalism, deans, heads of departments, lecturers and staff of UniMAC-GIJ, NAFTI and GIL, friends of the media, ladies and gentlemen, and of course student journalists. I am indeed humbled to be given this honor to come here to give this public lecture. And to title, that was a really good one. Yeah. Thank you so much. And I'm waiting to see you on the global stage. It takes a village to raise a journalist, and I'm proud to say that I did my master's over here at UniMAC-GIJ, and it did nurture me into becoming the kind of journalist that I am today. So kudos to all the lecturers. So let's get straight into the public lecture. On 18th February 2022, a WhatsApp call at 12:56 a.m. woke me up. The caller was someone I did not know. She introduced herself as a Ghanaian based in the United States of America, who needed urgent help for a 39-year-old pupil teacher named Janet Addy. Janet was diagnosed with a condition known as brain aneurysm, which meant that a blood vessel in her brain had swelled up, become like a balloon, and filled with blood. The aneurysm could leak and rupture at any time and cause life-threatening bleeding. The doctors had to race against time to conduct surgery on her, but there was a very big problem. Surgery cost 164,000 cedis, that's about $26,000. As a pupil teacher, Janet did not have that amount of money in her bank account. Her savings, according to her, were not up to 1/10 of the money requested. Attempt at sourcing money through GoFundMe failed. No one would give her a loan to undergo the surgery. Her bank failed her. The healthcare system failed her. Her family and friends failed her. So she decided to seek an unlikely ally, that's the media, to help save her life. She was racing against time because a price tag of 164,000 Ghana cedis had been placed on her life. She either pays or dies. As a journalist, I do not have that kind of money in my bank account, but I had a pen, a notebook, computer, and with the power of the media and the help of the public, I knew that combining these together could work some magic for Janet. In less than 1 week, 150,000 Ghana cedis was raised for Janet's surgery.
Let's meet Julie Adam. I was touched by her story. The 39-year-old teacher had devoted her life to teaching children to become the next generation of leaders, but being diagnosed with brain aneurysm meant she could not do the job she loved most.
The money, in fact, so huge. We can't afford it.
According to the report from the doctor, it is an emergency, and this is supposed to be done within a very short period. So please, we need the support.
Janet required an urgent coroning.
We noticed that she had 2 aneurysms. So these aneurysms are ballooning of the blood vessels, we call the artery. Unfortunately for her, one of them is leaking blood. So we don't really have time.
The estimated cost of the surgery was $26,500, or its equivalent of 164,000 cedis. Full payment was required before the procedure could start. Her family could not raise that amount and resorted to the Free Foundation for aid. As Janet's story aired, viewers donated over 150,000 cedis to fund her surgery. On March 28, the Free Foundation presented the check to the UniMAC-GIJ Advanced Diagnostics and Health Center.
Really wonderful to know that there are people still out there, with golden hearts who are still willing to help. Our sister Janet's situation that we brought before you has been duly attended to by all her sundry, and it's with heartfelt gratitude that I think we, the team at UniMAC-GIJ and the family, want to express our thanks to each and everybody who was able to contribute to raise this amount to help save such a precious life.
We would like to use this opportunity to thank TV3 for the generosity that they have shown, and for that matter, everybody both abroad and in Ghana who have contributed one way or the other towards raising this money to carry on the operation of my sister Janet.
At the day of surgery, healthcare professionals are preparing Janet for the operation. Her pastors also arrived to help with prayers.
That in this season, perform that which you did years ago, again, rectify everything. The glory be given unto you.
I'm here to wish her all the best and to encourage her. The surgery would last around 6 hours. On April 7, 2022, in a show of appreciation, Janet Adi walked to the premises of TV3 to say thank you to all these individuals.
Thank you, everybody that helped me in one way or the other. May all your efforts not go unnoticed. May God replenish everybody that support there and the crew. I say God bless you. Let God TV3 crew. God bless you.
So now, what do you look for after surgery?
Praying for help that I will be in help. And then as a teacher, I'll continue my teaching.
On behalf of Janet Adi and the family, we want to say thank everybody, TV3 and Ghanaians, for coming to our aid to support us financially to raise the money to do the brain surgery for Janet Adi successfully.
Janet Adi may have had a happy ending, but there are hundreds of Ghanaians whose ailments are not covered under the National Health Insurance Scheme. It should not be the role of the media to raise money for people to undergo treatment. Systems in this country must work. It's time for us to have a national conversation on how to aid persons whose ailments are not covered by the National Health Insurance Scheme.
Janet looks forward to total healing to return to the classroom to teach. To all who donated, you have not only saved her, but given.
So that's Janet Adi's story. But every day, there are dozens of people who contact me on social media to help them raise money for urgent health care. We'll just play a soundbite for you to listen to some of them.
Second chance at life. Thank you, Portia Gabor, TV Films, Accra.
He has a brain tumor. But please, can you help me reach the foundation? I'm told Madam Portia Gabor is in. Please, the situation is my junior brother. He has a brain tumor. We've taken him to Kolebu and looking at the condition, they can't treat it there. So he's being referred to Apollo Hospital in India. My brother, the money involved in this, we can't get it. The money involved is almost 400,000 Ghana. Please help me read this woman. Please. My brother, he's in a critical condition now. He collapses at any time. He collapses any time. Please help me, okay? Bro, help me. Help me. My brother is suffering. The guy is suffering. You don't have money for this. He's my brother. My backbone. Please, okay? We don't have the money. We don't have it. But I strongly believe that when I tell this woman, I'd rather help get treatment. Okay? Please.
We do not have to get to this point where someone will have to
Please help me. Help me. Please help me. He's suffering. He's suffering. He's suffering.
We do not have to get to this point where a member of the public will have to wait for a journalist to come to their aid in order for them to access healthcare. What has gone wrong? These are questions that we always ask each and every day. And I'm always crushed when many people, especially children and adults in their prime, die because they cannot afford quality healthcare through no fault of theirs. There's been hundreds of people who have died, and in my documentary, Wealth for Health, you see young people waiting to get healthcare, waiting for me, Portia, Gabor, to do a story before they'll get healthcare, and unfortunately, we have many who have died. It should not be the role of journalists to raise money to fix problems like this in the healthcare sector. There are people elected to do this to help the less privileged. When those elected to fix challenges confronting the country are unable to address them, the people know that they have an ally in the media. As journalists, our core roles of informing, educating, and entertaining the public is evolving. We are now required to take it a notch higher and pursue impactful journalism, aid to bring development in our communities, as well as help the less privileged in society. Well, personally, I don't think that people who are voiceless, each and every one of us has a voice. Some have a bold and loud voice. Others just manage with a still small voice, which cannot be heard or does not go far. And that's where journalism comes in, to amplify the voices of those whose voices cannot go far. So we act like a microphone to amplify, or a megaphone to amplify the voice of those whose voices do not go far. Increasingly, Our audience is now complex, discerning, and becoming more aware of what goes on around them. Impact is not being measured by the number of views of a viral news story on social media, the number of subscriptions or clicks to a news story. Because behind the views to a viral news story are real people with real problems who are concerned about their healthcare needs, concerned about the economy, concerned about education. The list goes on, who want real change and real solutions to Ghana's challenges. According to GIJ 2007, 50 years of the media struggle for democracy in Ghana, legacies and encumbrances, Ghana studies, she says that Ghana's media history, much like its political history, has been checkered and marred by decades of political as well as economic instability. Just as in other sub-Saharan countries, the Ghanaian press was at the forefront of political struggles for liberation from colonial rule and later in the vanguard of opposition to dictatorial rule. But for long periods post-independence, the media were ineffectual watchdogs, often functioning as tools of the succession of military regimes which ruled the country from the mid-1960s through the 70s as well as the 80s. But the lifting of restrictions on the media was a prerequisite for Ghana's transition back to democracy in 1993, as well as a dividend of economic and political liberalization. Strong constitutional provisions coupled with legal reforms have not only provided the needed protection for journalists to operate, but also encouraged the growth of independent media, particularly FM radio stations throughout the country. By 1992, a number of selected radio stations outside of the states were given permission to operate. The airwaves were officially liberalized in 1996 when the Frequency Registration Board began receiving applications and granting licenses for mostly private commercial entities. The National Communications Authority, as of the third quarter of 2022, has given frequency authorization to 707 FM broadcasting stations. Out of this number, 513 are currently operational. The expansion of media outlets in Ghana presents a fine opportunity to use this platform to promote development. Well, from archaeology to zoology, a journalist is sometimes seen as a walking encyclopedia, and you're expected to have answers at your fingertip. And it's not surprising that sometimes you are held in high esteem. There's been instances where the public would call a media station to report a fire incident instead of dialing the short code of the Ghana National Fire Service. I've had instances in flooding situations at midnight where people would rather call me to come to their aid and rather not that because they don't know their number. And recently, someone was having an armed robbery attack in their house, and I was the one they called. They didn't know the short code 18555, so they decided to call me because they felt immediately they get through to me as a journalist, then aid will automatically happen to them. I believe this is because of the trust the public has in the media. They see us as a link between them and those in authority. They are aware of the power of journalism to bring about a change in society or an improvement in their quality of life. On a recent trip to Kafaba in the East Gonja municipality, a colleague of mine, Komladun, worked on a news item for TV3 Mission. A community in need of healthcare could not access it because the CHIPS compound built for them had been locked up. They were denied access to quality healthcare. After we did the story, the next day, authorities opened the facility for people to access healthcare. And residents, of course, were happy because the media did come to their aid. That is why it is important to uphold outstanding journalistic standards because they are extremely important to bring out the potential of media to promote dialogue, democracy, accountability, and development. People are now not looking just for news, but rather solutions. It's no longer about just reporting on news stories once, which I term hit and run stories. Meaning, you take a story, it makes headlines, it's sensational, like a road accident, and then we go to bed and we forget it till another tragedy occurs. That's a hit and run story. For example, 3 days ago, 8 children from Atigagome in the Sene East District of the Bono East region drowned after their boat capsized on the Volta Lake. that happened a few days ago. They were part of 20 pupils on their way to seek education when this tragedy occurred. Further investigation revealed that Atika Bome is a fishing community on an island community. Pupils there access education at Wayokope because that is where there's a school. There's no school in Atika Bome. As usual, news about this tragedy was not given much prominence that day. It was just a fleeting news item because there was a minority shake-up in Parliament, which got much traction and much discussion as compared to the 8 children who died seeking to be educated. This is not the first time such a disaster has occurred. Just last year, 8 children also drowned while on their way seeking education. But there must be solutions. We can't continue with hit-and-run journalism. Journalists can take it a step further by seeking solutions from those in authority to either get the school for pupils of Atika Bome or to give pupils in the community life jackets. So in my early days of journalism, there was a community, Tokome. 2 pupils had drowned while going to school. And I saw a news item in which the Member of Parliament had donated money and foodstuff to them. Immediately I saw that news item, I knew there was a problem somewhere. They did not need money, they did not need foodstuff. So I went to the community, sat in the boat with the pupils without a life jacket. And apparently, I won't do that now, though. I'm a mother of 2 children. I need to be alive for my kids. But it moved me to do the story. There was even a hole in the canoe where we sat in. And you could feel the emotions. At that moment, I felt what those 2 children felt as they even died. Because you shouldn't be afraid while seeking an education. After doing that story, they had life jackets. And I felt for pupils of Atika Bome, it's either you build a school for them or you give them life jackets, because no child has to die while seeking an education. The non-profit Solutions Journalism Network defines this approach as the rigorous, evidence-based reporting on the response to social problems, the mission of which is to transform journalism so that all people have access to news that helps them envision and build a more equitable world. That's the story Eric was talking about. I will just play something small for you to see how journalism is used to support marginalized groups. Meet a special girl, and she's known as Ayeyi. She wants the whole world to know that disability is not inability. Let's meet her. Hello, Ayeyi. How are you doing?
I'm fine. And you?
I'm also fine. Thank you so much. Thank you.
One 7-year-old Ayeyi.
I am the girl who has osteogenesis imperfecta, which means my bones have sufficient disease. It hurts so bad when I break my joint.
Oh. So how do you feel?
I feel fine. Who is the pepper? Oh, who is the pepper? Oh, I'm the pepper girl. I'm the pepper girl. Who say that?
So after the story aired, BBC came all the way from UK to Ghana to do the story. It had over 1 million views, and then the First Lady also met her. Let's play something small from the First Lady.
Who is the pepper girl? Oh, who is the pepper girl? Oh, I'm the pepper girl. I'm the pepper girl. Who say that?
The inspiring story of 7-year-old Ayeyi, who despite living with osteogenesis imperfecta, had a positive outlook in life. Waiting for
I thought, and you know, I was very impressed with her. I must say I was touched when towards the end I thought she'd like to meet the First Lady. And I said, yes, for sure, we must meet. And so here we are today. And I'm here to be a friend to her. First of all, Grandma, like she called me. And also be a friend and to do whatever it is that I can do to help.
Okay, so that was yeah, don't watch it. Just the power of one story. Now she's a global sensation, and other rare diseases networks have used her as an ambassador. The First Lady also supported her foundation. Now there is an osteogenesis imperfecta foundation just because of one story. So what happened was when I saw her, I did not want to focus on her disability, but what she could do. And it is important to put persons with disability in good light, not only to focus on, yes, they have a condition, but they are beyond their disability. Well, also with the district level assembly elections, 4 out of 6 women promoted on TV3. I had 6 women, and 4 out of them were elected. Had it not been for the media, no one would have known their stories. And this lady is one of them. Just something small. So she's a hairdresser. And she didn't have a point when
aid and the EU. As current assembly member for
that's an old one
area in the Kumpatamanso municipality of the Greater Accra region, Regina Didiamankwa says she is poised for victory come December 10. A hairdresser by profession, Regina hopes to improve upon infrastructure and the well-being of constituents in the Landry electoral area. Our mission has been following her campaign and reports.
District Assembly Awards for me, Kona Kapoti.
Her posters and banners are ready, and campaigning for the district level elections has started in earnest.
Right now, I'm on my campaign. Every morning and evening, I move to my people. As you know, I have to move to them. They will not come to me. So day in, day out, I move with my name.
Okay, so this was the hairdresser. Because the media came in, she wasn't getting visibility. But immediately her story was shown on TV3, then everyone realized, wow, she indeed had a message. So out of 6 women given to me, 4 of them managed to win the district level assembly elections. As journalists, we must question why there may be affordable housing units, but the poor cannot afford them. Why there are more health facilities being built, but the poor cannot pay access to life-saving treatment because it is too expensive. Why are there more schools, but some persons living with disability are still left behind? I had the opportunity to interview a BEC candidate in 2017. She had a condition known as cerebral palsy, a neurological disorder that affects a person's ability to move. Matilda could not hold the pen to write well because movement in her hands is affected by cerebral palsy. Luckily, she got a laptop to help her at least type and answer section A. But the real challenge was answering section B. When her results came out, she had difficulty gaining access to senior high school because her grades in maths and science were not good. Through no fault of hers, she couldn't do section B. So I had to make a case for Matilda. It was no longer about equality, but rather equity. Equality means that each individual or a group of people is given the same resources and opportunities. Equity recognizing that each person has different circumstances and allocates the exact resources and opportunities needed to reach an equal outcome. So I engaged personally. I went to the computerized school selection and placement system to make a case for Matilda. Thankfully, they heeded to this call, and she was admitted to the West Africa Senior High School. 3 years later, she wrote her WASI, but the same problem still persists. While writing BEC, she could not answer section D.
So Adelega has had an amazing journey despite living with cerebral palsy, a condition that affects muscle tone, movement, and motor skill.
All right. So,
writing the 2016 Basic Education Certificate exams at the Medina Islamic Center. Because of her condition, YF granted her the permission to use a laptop to write the exams.
Matilda, how was the paper? Her big paper.
Because of her condition, she couldn't write mathematics. Because there's no any software that can help her identify the diagrams and then symbols that can help her work out all the other things.
After BECE, TV3 followed up at WAEC, who assured they would work on providing a solution to enable students with special needs write exams with ease.
Well, anything that the council can do to support special needs candidates, will do that. So I think we'll take that into consideration, see what we can do, which will not benefit only her, but with other candidates in the future who have such needs.
The Ghana Education Service promised to do so.
But TV3 did a story about young Matilda who will need to write WASI and will need a system device to write. But then she doesn't have it. And so the work is to provide these ones with support like that.
Yes, Matilda's case, she was not able to do some of the mathematics topics. So our division has also.
all right. So Matilda writes WASI, and then the same problems persist. Currently, Matilda has completed senior high school and she's still home because no university would admit her just because the nation failed her. She could not write Section B until date. It's been over 5 years and we still haven't developed a software to enable people like Matilda progress to tertiary institution. Just last year, BEC, the same thing. Another student, Daniela, could you please play Daniela? I just want us to see her handwriting so that we get to understand.
Matilda, in the midst of pupils gathered here at the Amasaman Center B to write this year's BECE, as a special pupil, Daniela Yeboah, who lives with the condition known as cerebral palsy. Other candidates are seated writing the social studies paper, except Daniela. She has poor muscle control, reflexes, and posture. She cannot sit to write, so she has to stand throughout the examination. Her handwriting is not clear. Previous mock exams made available to us. But one fears.
So how do you grade someone like this? I think it's unfair, really unfair for them to go through. It's either you change the grading system for them. That's where equity comes. It's no longer about equality now. It's equity now. So we all must join hands together to petition WAEC or something. Because we can't, because after she's going to write, she's written these, but she'll go and write WASI and she'll still be home because which examiner will mark this for her? So it's either we change the grading system or make a case for them to be admitted in university because this is through no fault of theirs. Ghana's focus on innovation and journalism, it has been given a boost with advancements in technology. But of what use is it to have the latest technological device when it does not meet the needs of your audience? Just putting your story on social media does not make it innovative. We are now seeing news media outlets and public health experts reaching out to the youth through TikTok. Technology, no doubt, has made the work of journalists easier. Journalists are now using WhatsApp, Zoom link, and voice memo features in the midst of internet connectivity challenges and to get through to people in hard-to-reach areas. Now there are talks of digital forensics and open source journalism, which is being used as investigative tools. In July 2018, a video went viral on social media showing 2 women and 2 men blindfolded and shot 22 times. The government in Cameroon denied responsibility, But BBC Africa was not satisfied with this response. That's why it's important. Sometimes it's not always what government tells you is accurate. You have to go further and investigate. In The Anatomy of a Killing by the BBC, it shows how innovation can help aid investigative journalism and hold government accountable. They demonstrated how satellite imagery, open data sets, and social media can tell a story and verify disputed events.
The soldiers accused them of belonging to the jihadist group Boko Haram. In the final scene of this video, too graphic to show here, they are blindfolded, forced to the ground, and shot at close range 22 times. One of the women still has the baby strapped to her back. The video began to circulate on July 10, 2018. Some claimed that this atrocity took place in Mali. But others said it was filmed in the far north of Cameroon, where government soldiers have been fighting Boko Haram since 2014. The government of Cameroon initially dismissed the video as fake news. A month later, they announced that 7 members of the military were under investigation. But there has still been no official admission that these killings were carried out on Cameroonian soil by government soldiers, and there is still no guarantee that anyone will be held to account. So how can we tell what really happened here? Over the next few minutes, we're going to follow these women and children on the short walk to the end of their lives, and to glean from this video the clues that tell us where this happened, when it happened, and who is responsible for this atrocity.
So this demonstrates how satellite imagery, open data sets, social media, and even simple things like a Google map can help tell a story and verify disputed events. So if there are reports of a kidnapping in Boku or anywhere in Ghana and government officials are denying it, that's a simple way to verify. All right, so now citizens, there's also the talk of artificial intelligence, which may be the future of newsrooms. So now it's either you innovate or you die. We have 682 days left to December 7, 2024. Citizens need to make informed decisions about programs and policies that affect them. Journalism cannot fail citizens who feel cheated by focusing on priorities of the people. It's time to ask critical questions about the health, economy, education, and all that concerns Ghanaians. It's also time for those seeking power to know the true needs of people. In fact, power belongs to the people. In its flagship report series, The World Trends in Freedom of Expression and Media Development 2021, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, finds that 85% of the world's population experienced a decline in press freedom in the country over the past 5 years. Additionally, journalists are under enormous pressure, not least from acute threats to their safety, including digital threats. At the same time, there's a shift in advertising revenue from news media to social media and research companies. This has eroded the business model of the media industry. Global media houses like CNN, BBC have been compelled to cut down on staff. Sadly, some journalists here in Ghana have meager salaries, others are not paid at all. As big tech companies such as Meta and social media giants are battling to get a huge chunk of global digital advertising spending. If there is a time to protect journalism, it is now. Deliberations must begin to seek new revenue streams to fund journalism and uphold press freedom. Since 2016, 44 countries have adopted or amended laws and regulations which threaten press freedom. especially online. But my years of experience in the media industry has taught me that when you silence one media person, you are silencing dozens of ordinary Ghanaians whose voices are heard through that one journalist. So for example, if I focus on marginalized communities like Down syndrome and I'm silenced, how do they get their stories out? That is why even just one journalist is important, because we carry and amplify the voices of dozens of people in the country. From the Me Too movement by the New York Times, Galamsey campaigns by Ghana's media, the Panama Leaks, the list goes on and on. Do not underestimate the power of the media to bring about issues of corruption and bad governance. It is therefore essential to have freedom to report the news. The outbreak of the Ebola viral disease in Africa was marked with panic and reporting done mostly by the international media. That is why when the COVID pandemic broke out, the resolve was made by me especially to go beyond the damage, the deaths and figures, but also to showcase the heroic efforts of frontline healthcare workers. When COVID broke out, I was asked to work from the house, and because they wanted to give priority to the men, and then those without children should rather stay home. But at home, I felt so uncomfortable. It felt like something was drawing me. I knew my country was in a battle, battling an invisible virus, and I felt I could not stay home. So I just woke up one day, called my cameraman, and we drove to Ga East with no appointment, nothing. So we went, and there was a meeting with directors of the Ghana Health Service. We sat for almost 3 hours waiting for someone to come out to talk to us, and no one came. Finally, someone came out, and I was told he was the medical superintendent of the hospital. So he came out, and I walked to him. I said, I want to go inside. And he just looked at me. He didn't say anything. You really want to do this? I said, yes. And he came along with the nurse and then with the protective gear, and they were like, let's go in. And I knew, ready or not, here I come. So that's how come you need boldness to do stories. But also make sure that you protect yourself as well, because I was well protected in telling this story. When the world came to a standstill, the media consistently provided life-saving information on and off the field. I love to see a media where more marginalized groups will be given a voice. We can, let me play that, my last video, and then let's watch something about the Albino community.
Mr. Frank, yes, and my big brother, and his black food. And then my big sister too. And then my sister-in-law. Yes. And he also baby As you can see, we are of different color, but then we are one big family. You have no idea the love and happiness this house is made of, despite the color difference.
Indeed, the Daklo family is a unique one thanks to genetics.
Sometimes they call him Ofri, and then that irritates me so much because I feel it's outmoded for you to be calling someone with albino Ofri. What if I had the same color? Would you be calling me Ofri?
Or yeah, family man, your full family man, make that. You come in, you have a little bit even
I got to know he was different the first day I saw him, because I was used to this normal color before I met him. So when I saw him, I realized there was a little different. Yeah. Beginning, I was like, wow, it's nice. It's nice. I didn't have any idea about albinism as at that time. So I was okay. It was nice for me. I was like, wow, we have people like that.
Surviving stigma, Andrews and Mavis have found each other and love. Their union is blessed with a daughter. They have vowed to protect and teach her to love herself and her unique skin and hair color. An estimated 10,000 persons are living with albinism in Ghana. Albinism is an inherited condition that leads to someone having light skin, hair and eyes due to less melanin than usual in their body. Someone has the condition because they inherited the gene from both their mother and father. For many persons living with albinism, the sun is not their ally. They constantly have to apply sunscreen as they are susceptible to skin cancer.
The sun is major enemy. And if you can see, I have to stand my umbrella to protect myself from skin cancer. Treating skin cancer can cost you not less than 2,000 USD in Ghana. Basically, the sunscreens should be put on the NHS drug list. And then government should stock all the hospitals with sunscreens. And any person with albinism who find themselves holding the NHS card can go to the pharmacy and say, oh, I'm a person with albinism, this is my NHS card, I need sunscreen. At least 1 bottle a month will be a great support to person with albinism.
Sheku Kaba is a native of Sierra Leone. He's in Ghana to treat skin cancer.
Cancer has its own side effects and complications. Because of delay in detecting it, I suffered the thyroid gland, the jugular vein, the external auditory canal, the all affected, they have to remove all of them. Management of cancer is continuous, depending on how far you can for and the type of people that are managing your condition, how they can understand you, how they are willing to help. One of the preventive measures like doing screening so you can detect the condition early, then using the sunblock, and then designing your own lifestyle, the dress, from this one, just to protect you from the skin.
Aside skin cancer, persons living with albinism have to deal with discrimination.
I have a twin brother who is unfortunately no more. So my brother was sick and then was taken to the hospital of a senior sister. And then my sister told me that when they went to the hospital, the nurses can just look at him, they refuse to touch him, and just go back. For her, she has no idea about albinism, so she doesn't know what's going on. So my brother passed on. I was like, no, there was something. Instead, the nurses are scared that when they go to they'll be infected with the condition or something might happen to them because they believe that persons with albinism don't die and they are spirit and all kinds of things.
They want people to accept and love them.
We are part of the ecosystem. But albinism is not my choice. But albinism, we are just like any other human.
Ghanaians, we are just like you. It's just a matter of the color that we have that you don't have. So the same way when you go outside Ghana, they accept you. The same way we are also here. We are the white men of the US and so just accept us.
For angry survivors, love is nothing and immediate life is essential albinism.
From the moment I set my eyes on you, you are in my love and will always be till the next
together so far, and the love is always there and will continue to be there. And I love you so much. You see how the umbrella is covering us? Yeah. Yes, that is how my love covers.
So it was important for me to change the perception that Ghanaians have about people living with albinism. Sometimes they do not even want to talk to you. So I remember during this interview, going to the house, they first serve me with water and food. They just want to see whether you can come down to their level. If I refused it, so sometimes you have to come down to the level of those marginalized. And when you eat with them, you can touch them, then they know they can trust you as a journalist to tell their story better. So it's essential to protect persons who do not look like us, because it can happen to anyone. That's just a matter of genetics. So I love to see a media where more marginalized groups will be given a voice. And for young student journalists gathered here, journalism is a calling and a privilege to serve people, Ghana's people. I know there are many people who regret being journalists, but it's actually a privilege to serve Ghana's people. The future of journalism depends on you to use it as a tool to promote advocacy and social change. The third verse of Ghana's national anthem joins us all to be bold to defend forever the cause of and of right. The time to do that is now. Let's make a difference in the world, one journalist at a time. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's do a big round of applause. Indeed, I'm overwhelmed to the extent that some of these major stories, I had not heard or seen them. And I think that I was just observing around when some of the short clips were being played, you could feel the emotions in the room. And this is what the power of journalism does. I don't know where to begin in an attempt to play my role as a chairman to summarize. I think that this morning's lecture has taken us all through a roller coaster. And I'll attempt to highlight a few. One of the very interesting things, before I get into this, is if we, as an institution, if we look at our enrollment, students who are getting into journalism, the numbers are going down. And I guess it's some of the reasons, the issue about money and all of that. But I think if you do your work well, you get the needed recognition and climb so high than you ever imagined. The heart surgery story really hits me. The teacher. And the way the speaker talks about the role society expects her and probably all other hard-working journalists to play. That there's fire, you are being called upon. When I heard the audio about the WhatsApp audios being sent to, you could virtually see that this guy is crying. And it brings forth to me the metaphor of the woman with an issue of blood, looking for the savior. I'll quote, that I'm very sure that if I get this woman, my brother will get help. And I'm referring to Mrs. Gabor. When you are placed in a society by virtue of your work to the extent that people would now see you as a savior, it means you have a huge responsibility on your shoulders. And I guess that is dependent upon the hard work she put in. And therefore, people will now feel like, if I reach Portia, I'll get my problem solved. And if you look at the story, the numerous stories as regards showing health challenges people have and the kinds of intervention they needed from the government or the society, then really, if you are very desperate and you feel like once you get your story to her, and I think that this paints a huge picture of the impact a journalist could have in a society like ours, where government is unable or sometimes fail to perform its responsibility towards its citizens. That, I mean, when you are in a developed country, you know, a lot of these things, you know that the society takes care of it. But there are so many people who, sometimes because we get into our daily lives and we are so comfortable, we don't see that really people are in such hard situations as through her stories we get to know. Then it's like for the first time, you become aware that, oh, so people are really in such situations. That is really, really serious, impactful journalism. And it moves you from the fun stories you see online, people showing their part, and this artist has slept with that lady and so, as if real problems are not happening within our society. So I'm very, very impressed. And I guess those of you who are seeing future careers, you are naturally being inspired by this. So through this work, we see journalists being seen as firefighters. You are being called upon. There's a flood, and people are calling you, and you are being called upon to intervene in something that the police is supposed to be concerned with. And I think that even without ending, I could say that through Mrs. Portia Gabor's work, she's redefining what impactful journalism is about. Let's give her a big. One of the things that intrigued me is the fact that, and I think all of us are aware of it, everybody now is concerned about the number of hits. Oh, just within 6 hours, this number of people have seen the story on social media. But I think her focus has never been the number of hits, but the level of help that through her story, she is able to get for people within our society. One of the things that she talks about, and I think that I always see it on CNN. CNN always talk about fearless journalism and all of that, and she exhibits that. And I think that's something you should pay attention to. I have always dreaded ever being in a canoe. And for a female journalist want to go and see it for herself and experience it, it tells you. And talking about how the children drowned and she going there, and even telling the story of how when she was supposed to be at home during the COVID period, she could just get out, call her cameraman, that let's go. And I guess most of us, if we were ever confronted with even a close relative being in there and say, go in there, you are not too sure whether you're going to come back. And I guess that now things are relaxed. I remember a few, when we started using this auditorium, everybody, you don't see their face. It's supposed to be wearing a face mask. And because of our short memory span, sometimes we now see kind of living. Could you imagine we sitting here 2020 and everybody is not wearing a mask? It's not acceptable. And for you to enter into a place where everybody there is a COVID patient and they're supposed to just go there and tell a story, you know, because I know female doctors and friends who come and say that, look, I don't want to go to work and go and bring COVID back home. Even medical doctors, some of them will run away from their shift and wouldn't want to. They'll go just observe from a distance and they tell these stories to us as friends. And you realize people are really compromising on their jobs because they don't want to. They are self-preservation. So if you find journalism that gets the story from where it's supposed to go, even at the risk of their lives, then you want to give them all the needed praise. And I think that it should tell you the kind of real journalism that we need. I always remember Christian Amampo, and some of us grew up watching her. Sometimes she's reporting and you hear a bomb and she shakes and she continues. Now she's old, so she's now back in the studio. But real journalists who have made serious impact all over the world are people who at some point want to put themselves in harm's way just to bring out the story for the whole world to get to know. One of the things that she talked about is when people would always want to talk about the bad things happening, disability, but she not focusing on the disability, but focusing on the strength. And I think that girl story, I've seen her and I never knew you were at the forefront of this, and that is marvelous. If you listen to this girl, you are so inspired. But how many of us would have seen this and would even want to appreciate her without her taking the decision to go and bring this girl's story to the rest of us in the world? She also questions the status quo. And I think as a society, we just get to accept a lot of things as normal. Most of us we are, this is BEC, this is GC, this A-level, this is how it's done. If you can't do it, and a lot of people are, by virtue of their biology or their makeup, are not able to fit into these frames that we have created for what we consider as normal people. And you know that if you get into education deeply, you get to know that a lot of children in our school, if you're a teacher, you get to know a lot of children, it's not because they are dumb. Sometimes they just don't even hear. Some of them can't, but they are not blind, they can't differentiate between figures. What the child wants, and the teacher will be ripping without really identifying the real problem. And it's sad that even after sharing this story, and as she reported, even after 5 years, nothing has been done. Because as society, we need to be up and doing. And I think that you find it in the West that when you have people with all kinds of disabilities, they can live normal life because the system supports them. And now, if it's not been for the past few years, children who were, I've forgotten the name for this, autistic children never were paid any attention. There was no formal education for them. So parents will now hide them in their homes. By the time they are adults, they are uneducated because the society has said, And it's been a real problem. And it's through journalism these things come out. And I'm very happy that Mrs. Portia Gabor is a leader in shedding light on some of these critical issues we are confronted with in our society. She also draws attention to the shift in commercialization of, the shift in the commercial viability of traditional media onto social media. And aside the issue of Meta, Facebook, Meta, another company, we also know of Elon Musk coming in to look at Twitter and saying that Twitter is not being commercially viable, and they now commercializing blue tick, which I think all of you know. And this is really a major problem. And it's good that you highlight that thing and I think that as our lecturers in journalism, these are things that we should also pay attention to. That aside training media students to become professional journalists, we should also talk about how do we reinforce and make sure that as a society we preserve the traditional media, because the traditional media are always concerned about impactful journalism. These, social media platforms are always mostly interested in this hit and run story. And now people's attention span very short, so they just want to see something and laugh and get home. And it doesn't really help. So it's high time we discuss or talk about ways by which we can still maintain advertising and commercial viability of traditional media. And I want to thank Mrs. Gabor for highlighting that in her lecture. Last but not least, she talks about the importance of AI. I think that's where the world is going. And I think that for most of us, even as parents and as media students, we should not forget about that. I was very intrigued about this Mali story and how AI and all. It's very, very important. And these tools are available to us. And dear students, I think sometimes they will emphasis on taking selfies and not using all these functionalities in our very expensive phones, to push media. We should pay attention to them because these tools are handy. Some of them, as she rightly indicates, you don't even have to pay for them. There are lots of them. We should search and begin to build our own capacity as we prepare to get out there. In sum, I think she encapsulates the ideal journalist. You could see throughout the story, she's hardworking, she's curious, and she's bold. And she wants to get where the story is. I'm very excited today that at least if you couldn't get anything, we brought you a model. And more importantly, the fact that she is also female. This is not a male, traditional male journalist say, oh, a man. This is the female who is daring, who wants to go out there and bring the story. And I think DRID couldn't have done better than this. So on this note, I want us to give a big clap to Mrs. Portia for her great lecture and for her hard work for Ghana and the world at large. If we get many journalists doing the kind of work she's doing, I guess we'll move our society forward. No wonder she was chosen as the best journalist for 2022. I want to believe that her work is going to still continue. She's going to make a lot of impact. And I would want to plead with DRID that probably when we've had photograph section with the opportunity to be given for her to take pictures with students. And I think that's always be an inspiration. Once you look at the photograph, you know that you have to work hard and get out there. And I'm proud that she's a great alumna of this great institution. I'm talking too much. So I'm rounding up. I want to thank DRID for the hard work, and I want to thank all my deans, able deans, and great administrators who are here to support us, and you for coming. I mean, I'm happy that many students are in here, but I'm sad that you have to stand. But the fact that you make this auditorium full shows how committed you are to this course. And I think we should follow what DRID is doing. If each semester we get to hear two very important personalities from the media, I think that by the time you complete 4 years or 3 years, you would have heard people from different positions, and they all go to strengthen and inspire you to become better persons as you prepare yourself to get into the world of this. So on this one, I want to thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you, Portia. Please, let's appreciate the first read, summary, and analysis that Prof. He has shown that he's truly a professor. I like the way he took the presentation and then dissected it. But very briefly, bringing out the main essential takeaway points. So those who came late, at least, this is easy for you. You can take your angles from that. I know some people are writing assignments from this. So if you paid attention to Prof, you will get your lead and other points from that. It was a very nice summary, or review, let me put it that way. Very nice review. So thank you very much, Prof. And thanks to Portia for a great presentation. If you needed any proof that journalism can still make a difference in society, this is her. If you needed proof that females can do as well as males can, or even more, that's her. And if you needed proof that journalism is not a dying profession, that journalism is still a noble profession capable of making a difference in society, this is it. So for those of you who are writing journalism off, have written the media off, and have decided to do other things you're just not interested in, even though that is your calling, today she has given you a reason to rethink your decisions and to rethink your mindset. And you have seen her live and is you are not really in a textbook or anything. You know, there's one thing Prof said, that she's the ideal journalist. I like that terminology. And we should interrogate that more in class. Who is the ideal journalist? We should research into what constitutes, what are the indicators that make an ideal journalist, especially in the 21st century. Because there are a lot of debates. Is it about the clicks? Is it about the celebrity stuff? Because people have different notions of what journalism should be, and some are bought into it. And so when they come here, they have a whole different expectation, even though you are teaching them the standards. They want what they are seeing out there, and not all of them is correct. Today, we have brought the correct stuff for you to see the ideal. For you to see the ideal. So I like that term, and let's interrogate it more. But this is what this is about, and this is what DRID seeks to do. I know there are people who question the selection of the guests, but our boss has given his stamp of approval on the choice that we make, and that stands for Portia's presentation. You did a great job, so thank you very much. I know there are people dying to ask questions, so Rob, please, we beg you, just indulge us a little bit. Yeah, just one or two. But I know some students have just a few, one or two questions. Absolutely. And then we'll go. Please don't be interested in just the pictures you take with her after here. You got this is your chance to talk to her and learn from her as well. Those who are itching to take pictures with her. Don't think about just that, even though it's also important.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. And this is Portia, Gabor. I think that's extraordinary because it takes the extraordinary to be foregrounded actually. No wonder you are currently the journalist of the year. And so once you are doing journalism, in fact development journalism that brings to the fore the marginalized, I think you can't get anything better than that. But I'm worried because currently in Ghana, the kind of journalism that we are doing, the focus is on two areas. Political journalism. That is number one. And it's not just political journalism. It is about how the media houses want to be seen, especially with the level of insults that fly in left, right, center. And that gets me worried. So I want to find out how you feel about this, because if you tune into different stations, be it TV, radio, even online, it's all about politics. Ghana is all about politics. And we are leaving out development journalism. We are leaving out the marginalized. That is very worrying. Number two, it is also about sensationalism and scandal. Recently, we know what's happened with the First Atlantic Bank stuff, and it's all over the place. That is all that we are interested in. What you've done, as I said, it takes the extraordinary for you to be foregrounded. And so if we are moving towards this tangent, how do you feel as a journalist of the year?
Certainly. It takes just one journalist. So like with what I'm doing, you can't have everyone who will tell one line. Definitely there are those who focus on the sensationalism. So it's high time, especially when media owners are now becoming politicians, it's high time we get maybe partner with civil society to help fund journalism for public good. So for example, we have the Media Foundation for West Africa, which is sponsoring and training people. And I think it has to start with student journalists. It takes a village to raise a journalist. And even in our villages, we have the elders who train young ones. Even the Bible says, train up the child in the way he should go. When he's old, he will not depart from it. So it starts from those who are in school now. You may not have anything to do with those already in it who are doing the sensationalism, but when you start with the kids now, or the students now, definitely we'll get somewhere.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Portia. Now, congratulations once again on a splendid mimic and not to imitate your footsteps. Now, looking at the state of media in Ghana and the world at large, the fact that the people in this field safety isn't guaranteed, what, in your opinion, will you say are some key points a journalist can do to liberate him or herself from the issue of safety in order to cause a social change?
Safety, what kind of?
What, in your opinion, will you say are some key points a journalist should liberate him or herself in order to make a social change?
Especially if you are in a media house which does not support this cause, what do you have to say? I think it's a real challenge that we are still figuring out. There are sometimes stories that you want to do, but maybe your media owner does not want you to pursue that kind of story. So what do you do then? Because you're even afraid you may be victimized or your salary may even not be paid. Look, these are real issues. I do not have all the answers, but these are real issues that we need to deliberate on the way forward.
Okay, and is it excessively legalistic to question people's relevance for change?
I don't understand your question.
I often get to see and then hear of people saying that investigative journalism is seen as an invasion of privacy. But like you said, there are more ladies that are needed to go into that field. So sometimes I get worried if it's really seen as an invasion of privacy. So the likes of Anas, Arimio, Anas, are they really sure that, let's say, the work they do is really an invasion of people's privacy? Should we get also go into that field?
So as a female, it's hard being a journalist, and it's harder when you're female and you want to venture into investigative journalism. We've seen the power of investigative journalism in which we've exposed people in corrupt acts in the country. Corruption draws us back hundreds of years, and with monies that are meant to, let's say, build a school, we've seen that being used in corrupt acts. It needs bold people to come out to fish these issues in society. As a woman, it's even more difficult for you because, for example, even with the men, even Ahmed Swale, he was killed while pursuing an investigative piece. And for a woman, you're going to even be attacked. Sometimes there are many female journalists who do not even show their identity on social media. It means living like a recluse in society. But there's still some bold ones out there. It's a calling. If you are convinced to do this, pursue it. But also focus on your safety as well.
A woman, a wife, and a mother, what are some of the challenges you face in the media landscape, and what keeps you going?
So there are some people who still don't believe that I am good enough. I had to battle that. Well, it's been 15 years, but there are some people you even call them for interviews and then they don't even mind you at all. And you have to know that you do not depend on anyone to believe who you are as a person and to believe in your calling. I am a journalist first before a news anchor. It's not about the makeups, it's not about the beautiful dresses that you wear on telly, that you change each and every day, but it's about the real impact that you face, that you make in society. There are times when I don't even attend family events. It's about sacrifice. It's not about the flashy things that you see. Being a female journalist is about blood, sweat, and tears.
I want to find out how you generate your story. How do you get access to some sources? Because sometimes some people are not willing to talk to you. When they know you're a journalist, they are not just willing to talk to you. So how do you get access to some of these sources and your story ideas?
Simple curiosity. I read almost everything. Sometimes I just go on social media to find out what people are talking about. And sometimes, for example, I did a story on a man with 100 children in Ghana because I watched a story on BBC in which there was a man with over 100 children. And I asked myself, could there be some in Ghana? And it's important to develop your source. There are many people who will even come up to you with story ideas. And my inbox is always flooded with people who want me to. Because when you start and you start well, you earn the trust of people who will give you more stories to pursue.
Thank you. I'm glad to meet you. I'm glad to see you. But this is my question. Do you offer mentorship to the... I'm so much interested. I want to find out more about that. Thank you very much.
We can meet on social media to offer that kind of mentorship. But then there's this kind of mentorship where you do not even need to personally see the person, but you are seeing the person's works. I was inspired by Pebu Sechiado. I only got to meet him once in my career, and that was okay. I didn't call him every day, but I watched him, I follow his works. If there's someone in international media that you love also, you can follow. You don't necessarily need to, because sometimes you also have personal. There's been times when people even come to me to help them do their homework, and it's true, it's a difficult task. But when you follow, you can go on social media. My works are available, but I can also once in a while meet up with you and then help offer, because the aim is not just to break the glass ceiling, but to put a ladder down for the younger ones to climb to even be better than who I
am. So we thank everybody who asked the question and who contributed. So ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our program. I think you will agree with me that it's been a very useful exercise, very spirited and engaging as well. So thank you, Prof. Yes. Thank you, Prof. Acting Rector, for coming to chair the program today. We got to recognize our Director of Finance for UniMAC, Mr. Obeng as well. Thank you for coming. Let's clap for him. We are now one institution, really. So thank you very much. We hope you support this way. Thanks. Special thanks to faculty and staff of UniMAC-GIJ, NAFTI, GIL, our deans, HODs, lecturers, administrative staff, senior staff. They're always here to support. You can see international programs here and others. Our director of IT. In fact, let's thank our director of IT too. That's Mr. Tufo. Mr. Tufo, please away. Seriously, they'll be very helpful. Hopefully next time you will help us to live stream it as well. And then to a young gentleman, Titus, right? Yes. Yeah, thank you. Titus, they want to see you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I also want to thank DRID. I can do everything on my own. The awesome folks who have helped me. And then we do have some student volunteers at DRID as well, who have been very helpful. So the staff of DRID, the support team, and everybody, Mr. Marshall, Public Affairs, and everybody who has contributed to make this program a success. And thank you all for coming as well, for your presence, for making the time to come here. Please, let's give all of us a round of applause. And thanks to the media as well for coming to cover this program. On this note, we'll officially declare the program ended, but we'll do the picture session. And in order that there will be some order, please have some patience with us. We're going to start with our guests, faculty, before we move on. Staff, before we move on to the students. So students, please don't rush and come and want to shake Portia and take your time. Just hold on, and then we'll start with them. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.